Chapter 66. Claire's expression suddenly became weird. "Where is the restaurant that Charlie ordered tonight?" She subconsciously asked. "You're not lying to me?" Charlie smiled and said, "Of course not." After speaking, Charlie explained, "A few days ago, I booked a place here. If you don't believe it, let's go in and check the information." Claire shook her head. After 3 years of marriage, Charlie never lied to her, let alone on such an important day as today. Then she said, "No, I believe you." After that, she asked, "You shouldn't have reserved a seat in the Sky Garden, right? Isn't there a big person chartered there today?" Charlie hurriedly said, "I decided to be next to the Hanging Garden. It happens to be able to see the inside of the Hanging Garden. Then we can also take a look. Who on earth is it that has reserved it? What do you think?" Claire smiled and said, "I'm not as gossipy as you." Afterward, the two walked into the Shangri-La Hotel. When they were about to go upstairs, a woman's exclamation suddenly rang in their ears, "Oh, Claire, why are you here?" Claire raised her head and saw a pair of young men and women walking towards her. The man wore a luxurious suite, and he knew it was a wealthy young master from a certain family at a glance, while the woman was covered in famous brands with beautiful makeup, but the brows and eyes were full of arrogant colors, and the dress was a bit kitsch and dancing posture. This woman, Claire, knew her, Liqing, her roommate when she was in college. Although Liqing and Claire were in the same dormitory, they are not classmates. Although they were sleeping together, the relationship between Claire and Liqing was very ordinary. This is mainly because Liqing Zhao pretends to be high-minded and is very jealous. She has always felt that Claire is not worthy of the name Colonel's Flower, and the real school flower should be her. But the actual situation is that she is much worse than Claire in terms of appearance, build, momentum or connotation. However, this woman has an advantage. She is especially good at hooking up with men. It is said that she has hooked up with a lot of rich people before. All the expenses for 4 years of college were paid by those men. Claire frowned, but seeing everyone in the class, when the two approached, she could only bite the bullet and said politely, "Liqing, long time no see." "My husband and I came here for dinner, you what?" Liqing said in surprise, "Ah, that's a coincidence. My husband and I are here for dinner too." After that, she asked again pretendingly and curiously, "By the way, which position did you book? Ordinary box, premium box, or luxury box?" Claire was confused about Charlie's arrangement and could only reply truthfully, "I don't know this. My husband ordered the location." At this time, Liqing noticed the existence of Charlie, covered her mouth and smiled, and said, "Oh, this is your husband Charlie, right? He was a very ordinary man at school back then." The sneer hidden between the words is particularly harsh. Claire looked embarrassed. Liqing came back to her senses and hurriedly said apologetically, "Oh, sorry, blame me for being outspoken, you don't mind." Charlie frowned slightly. "This lady, she doesn't seem good." Chapter 67. Liqing didn't pay attention to Claire's face. She pulled the man next to her proudly and said, "I will introduce you to my husband Zheng Hao." Then, she praised, He is the eldest master of the Sheng family in Aurus Hill, and he is also the heir of the Sheng family's hundreds of millions of fortune." Claire nodded politely. Charlie's expression was a little gloomy. "I brought my wife to my wedding anniversary. Who knew we'd meet such an annoying thing halfway through?" Liqing continued to say, "By the way, my husband is a platinum member here. He has a lot of authority. I guess Charlie has a regular box at most, right? Why don't I ask him to help you upgrade directly to the luxurious box? How is it?" Claire was about to decline. Charlie laughed and said, "I booked a good position, so let's forget about it. You know, the Sky Garden on the top floor will make up for a grand wedding. She is a platinum member. What's so good about her? What's more, the entire Shangri-La Hotel is in his own home. If he took his wife to a luxury box with only platinum members, wouldn't it be a surrender?" At this time, Liqing said with some dissatisfaction, "Claire, look at your married husband, you don't know how to promote him. How do you usually discipline him?" As she said, she took Jing Hao's arm, nestled her head on his shoulder, and said with a smile, Charlie's behavior is not suitable for such a noble occasion. I would like him to ask my husband for more advice in the future. Aristocratic etiquette, after all, my husband studied in England. Jing Hao glanced at Charlie with disdain, and smiled, my wife, don't arrange this impossible task for me. Mr. Charlie is so maverick and you want to teach him aristocratic etiquette. I'm afraid it will be difficult. Liqing nodded, sighed, and said to Claire, if you want me to tell you, you should get divorced quickly. Spending a lifetime with a poor man like Charlie you will feel wronged. Liqing just spoke without any cover, not caring about Claire's feelings at all. Claire couldn't bear it, and immediately said coldly, Liqing, what do you mean? My husband, it's not your right to comment. Liqing covered her mouth and smiled, and said, you didn't look down on me when I was in college. How could you be considered a colonel's flower if you had some bad money at the time? Now that you don't marry well, you don't want me to talk about it. Charlie was very unhappy when he heard this. This Liqing, who was profane when she was in school, relied on having a decent face to hook up with a rich man, and now she is lucky to marry a rich family. Is she really a rich and young lady? Besides, dare to laugh at his wife? Really looking for death? Thinking of this, a burst of anger surged in his heart. So he took out his cell phone and sent a text message to Shangri-La boss Isaac. Within 3 minutes, all the information of Liqing, the daughter-in-law of the Jing family in Orris Hill, was sent. When Liqing saw Charlie looking down at the phone without saying a word, she laughed even more. Look at your husband, I'm taunting you, he didn't even dare to speak for you. Ha ha ha. At this moment, Charlie suddenly received a text message from Isaac, Mister, the information about Liqing has been sent to you. Charlie looked at the content of the long text message, then looked at Liqing and her husband Jing Hao, and asked with a smile, I have some interesting information, do you want to listen to it? Liqing frowned and asked, what information? Charlie said loudly, Liqing, female, 26 years old, graduated from Orris Hill University. Chapter 68. During the freshman year, according to investigations, there were no less than 100 records of house openings, and there were 8 different men who opened houses, including Li Hu, Ma Fei, and Du Xiaoping. Liqing was dumbfounded, her face pale, and blurted out, what are you talking about? Be careful, I will sue you for slander. Ding Hao frowned, he was obviously shocked. Charlie said again, oh, this is amazing. You have opened a house with 2 men a few times. One of these 2 men is called Dong Bin and the other is Dong Jie. These 2 men seem to be brothers. Are you in a 3-0 me? Liqing shouted in horror, you are talking nonsense. You are talking nonsense. Charlie continued, also, during your sophomore year, you were taken care of by the vice president of Shenghua Group at a price of 30,000 per month. You were taken care of for a total of 3 years, during which you had 4 abortions for him. At the Orris Hill Women's and Children's Hospital, the last abortion doctor declared you to be infertile for life. While talking, he asked Jing Hao curiously, Mr. Jing, if I guess right, you should have no children yet? Ding Hao's expression suddenly became ugly. He glared at Liqing and asked, what's the matter? Liqing sweated profusely and said in a panic, the Hao, don't listen to his nonsense. I gave it to you the first time. You know. Charlie smiled and said, don't worry, there are more exciting. Liqing pulled Jing Hao in a panic, and while dragging him away, she said, stop talking. Husband, let's go. It's too late for dinner. Jing Hao frowned and said to Charlie motionlessly, what else? Charlie smiled and said, listen well. After graduating from university, Liqing underwent a thorough plastic surgery in the plastic surgery hospital. A month later, she entered the Jing family company and deliberately got to know the Jing family by scratching Geng Hao's Bentley car. Jing Hao, a young man. After speaking, Charlie looked up at Jing Hao, am I right? Jing Hao was dumbfounded. I know these things, and they are all true facts. That is to say, those things before are also true facts. Liqing was already pale at this time, and her whole body was shaking in panic. She begged Charlie, Charlie, I beg you to stop talking, please. Charlie sneered and said, now you know to beg me. Sorry, it's late. After speaking, he said again, after knowing Jing Hao for half a month, she took advantage of the opportunity of a business trip to Haicheng to perform a meniscus repair operation at a plastic surgery hospital in Haicheng. After returning, she officially became a girlfriend with Jing Hao and got married in half a year. Liqing was already sitting on the ground. She didn't know how Charlie could reveal all her secrets. This was almost shaking her old bottom to her husband. Jing Hao was also so angry that his ears smoked, turned his head and glared at Liqing, and yelled, so you lied to me that it was your first time that night. It was actually yours hundreds of thousands of times, right? Liqing hurriedly denied, no, I didn't. How? You are my first time. Charlie smiled and said, don't worry, I can find her medical records when doing the membrane repair. You will know when she goes to the hospital to check it. Jing Hao grabbed Liqing's collar and slapped her hard in the face. Don't tell the truth yet, do you? Don't tell the truth yet. After I check it out, I will sweep you out. Your father, your mother, your brother, all moved out of my villa, and your brother should stop working in the Zheng's family. I will let your family down the street. Liqing suddenly broke down and cried, and knelt on the ground begging for mercy. Husband, don't be angry, I was wrong. It was all the mistakes I made before when I was young and ignorant. Later, I changed my mind to righteousness and lived with you. Charlie said at this time, don't believe her. After she married you, she had a few breakup shots with the man who took care of her. That breakup shot, the other party also took a video as a memorial. If you want, I can find out the video and send it to you to watch. Chapter 69. Jing Hao's face was very ugly, extremely blue. At this moment, he finally felt what it was like to have a prairie on his head. When he couldn't bear it, he smoked Liqing countless big mouths like crazy, and cursed, you stinky framer, you have been lying to me. Give me a cuckold, and I'll kill you. I'll kill you. Liqing screamed when she was beaten, her hair scattered, and she broke down and cried. Jing Hao beat her and cursed, divorce. You are free now. Otherwise I will find someone to kill you, your parents and your brother. Liqing completely collapsed. She tried everything I could to marry into the Zheng family. She wanted to be a wife for a lifetime, but today, her dreams are completely broken. All this is because of Charlie. She hated Charlie so much, but Charlie smiled contemptuously at this time and said to Claire, wife, let them bite each other like dogs, let's go. After speaking, he took Claire's hand and walked to the elevator. Claire's beautiful eyes trembled, and she was shocked and couldn't believe it. Where did Charlie know so much about Liqing's dark history? Thinking of this, her gaze couldn't help but look at Charlie, and she couldn't believe it and asked, you made those things checked? How is it possible? Where do I have this ability? Charlie said, ha ha, a classmate was badly injured by Liqing before. He has been digging for Liqing's black material, but I didn't expect it to come in handy now. With that said, Charlie has taken her into the elevator. As soon as he entered the elevator, Charlie pressed the button on the top floor. Claire hurriedly asked, Charlie, did you press the wrong floor? Isn't the top floor the Sky Garden? Charlie smiled slightly, my wife, where we are going to now is the Sky Garden at the top. As soon as these words came out, Claire was struck by lightning. Sky Garden? How can that be? In the entire Aurus Hill, everyone knows that the Sky Garden tonight has obviously been reserved by a mysterious man. Even if Charlie has great abilities, it is impossible to book a place in the Sky Garden to celebrate the third wedding anniversary. But the next moment, a bold idea suddenly appeared in Claire's heart. Could it be that Charlie was the mysterious man who reserved the entire Sky Garden? Although this is like a fantasy, but at this moment, besides this explanation, are there other possibilities? Thinking of this, Claire couldn't help asking, Charlie, did you reserve the Hanging Garden? Charlie smiled slightly and said, yes, I want to give you the biggest surprise today. I will provide you with a flourishing wedding that no one can copy. What? Claire felt that her brain was short-circuited. If this is really a big surprise Charlie prepared for her. So, isn't she the happiest woman in Aurus Hill tonight? Thinking of this, Claire's breathing became hurried, and she almost lost the ability to think. Chapter 70. Just as her inner world was turbulent, the elevator had reached the top floor of Shangri-La Hotel. A service staff at the door bowed slightly and said with a smile, "Miss Claire, on behalf of our Shangri-La Hotel, I would like to extend my heartfelt blessings to you and Mr. Charlie for the wedding anniversary tonight." Charlie waved his hand and said to her, "You all get back." Immediately, all the staff left the scene. In the entire hanging garden, only the world of Claire and Charlie remained. Claire was in a dream. At this moment, what is greeted is a huge space with luxurious style. The gorgeous crystal ceiling casts clear light, making the entire sky garden look elegant and quiet. The soft piano masterpieces fill the sky garden and slowly occupy people's hearts, making it hard to feel tension and anger. Fresh high-end fresh flowers delivered by air from abroad exude bursts of fragrance, not strong or demon, but if anything is changing people's mood, it is indescribably quiet and beautiful. At this time, with the change of piano repertoire, the most classic wedding march called A Midsummer Night's Dream suddenly sounded, and the melodious sound was endless. When Claire was dizzyingly admiring the beautiful scenery, Charlie had put on a decent suit and was walking towards her with a bunch of flowers. Every time he took a step, a series of beautiful and gorgeous red hearts wafted up on the floor made of crystal glass. It seems that these love hearts are dancing with the sound of the piano, giving people a very powerful visual impact. At this moment, outside the sky garden, countless people look forward to everything that happens inside through the crystal glass exterior wall and floor. The only regret is that all the glass in the sky garden has been blurred to a certain extent. You can see a pair of young men and a woman inside, and the flowers in it are so beautiful. There is also the red love that keeps popping up on the floor. Countless women are looking forward to it and say, "This is so romantic. I have never seen such a romantic scene in my life. If I were that woman, I would die of heart attack now. Gosh! That man's figure seems to be a mysterious rich man. It's a pity that I can't see his face. Oh, what torture!" The scenes in the sky garden completely immersed the people who watched the excitement from the outside world. Thousands of people are looking at it and admiring it with extreme envy. Everyone's eyes are full of blessings, watching this grand garden that seems to be suspended in the air. Countless women burst into tears and felt uncontrollable envy in their hearts. They were even more overwhelmed. They were so jealous that they could not wait to be the heroine of this grand wedding tonight. Even if people can't see the real faces of the two tonight, they can still feel how happy the heroine is now. Charlie walked up to her step by step, pointed at the night view of Aurus Hill outside the French window, and said with affection, "Claire, I love you. I couldn't give you a wedding back then, I hope this one is only for us a wedding for two, you can like it." Claire came back to her senses, covering her mouth, but crying pear blossoms brought rain, tears falling to the ground like pearls, and her pretty face kept falling. After hearing this, Claire couldn't help the turbulence in her heart anymore, took a step forward, plunged into Charlie's arms, and said with tears, "I like it. I really like it. Thank you. Thank you, Charlie. Thank you." Speaking of this, Claire was even more crying. At this moment, she felt that all the grievances she had suffered in the past 3 years were worth it. No matter how Charlie did all this, at least for now, she is very happy, and tonight she is the happiest woman in Aurus Hill.